There we go. All right. Well, welcome back to the main room, everybody. I have seen some teachers are sending us some pictures. If you have pictures that you're taking throughout the day, please send them to us. Tag us on Instagram. We want to see your work. So we are now doing our traditional Q&A session, and that's where I'm going to let our two mentors lead. I'm going to mute and video out and let them lead. If you are a ET College mentor who was in a breakout room, you do not have to stay for this. You can come back at when we open up the next room. So it's up to you if you want to stay or go. But I will just want to pass it off and say thank you to Grace and Brianna, who are going to be leading our Q&A. This is your time to ask our mentors any questions you have about the Bridge Lab, which you've been doing, but also to ask them any questions you have about college, engineering, anything along those lines. This is your opportunity, and I'm going to stop speaking and I'm going to hand it off to Grace to lead us off.
Awesome. So hi guys, my name is Grace. Thank you all for joining this World Engineering Day with us. So we'll just start by doing a quick introduction of ourselves, and then we'll get into Q&A and any other questions that you guys have. So I'm going to share my screen and present this. Can everyone see this? Okay, amazing. So again, my name is Grace. I am studying mechanical engineering at Dartmouth and minoring in human-centered design. I went to high school at Holy Child, and I know you guys are on the Zoom, which is super exciting. So hi guys. I'm super glad that you guys are joining us today. So here are some things that I do on campus. The picture on the left is a current project that I'm working on now. It's a solar water heater for a school in Uganda. So we're actually going to travel there in June and put it in and test it. So we're really excited about that. Basically a bunch of solar panels and tanks and things like that, but it's super cool. And then on the right here, this is some design graphics that I've made with my research team. Basically, we're trying to make the curriculum here at Thayer more human-centered. And so we're trying to brand this new design process that we want Dartmouth students to follow. So this is all, really exciting work that I love doing, and I'd love to talk more about it if you guys have questions. So I'll allow Brianna to now introduce herself.
Thank you, Grace. Hi, my name is Brianna. I shall share my screen as well. So here we are. My name is Brianna Serna. I go to NYU Tandon School of Engineering. I'm a fourth-year student majoring in civil engineering, so this is my favorite lab ever. And I'm a minor in construction management. And let's see the next slide. And about me, so I was born and raised in New York City. I was fortunate enough to study abroad in NYU London, which is one of the reasons why I chose NYU was because of their study abroad program. I spent the last 2 summers interning at Halmar International, which is a contracting construction company. I'm very passionate about many things like the visual arts, which is why I came to NYU as well. My favorite project on campus was Concrete Canoe. I put a little video here if anyone's interested in asking to watch that later. And my future endeavors, I would love to become a project manager on field on site. But yeah, that's about me and Grace. We can jump into questions about the lab if anyone has those first. Feel free to either unmute or put them in the chat because I know some are classrooms, so it might be a little bit loud. So chat also works.
Also, it doesn't have to be questions. We love to hear what you guys are designing, so materials you guys are using, how it's going so far. If you've tested your bridges at all, that would be great.
Yeah, I see some wonderful bridges already scrolling through the classrooms. So if you guys want to come up and show us and unmute yourselves one by one, you can go ahead.
It looks like everyone is busy at work.
We can also jump into questions about college if there's no questions about the bridge. I know it's a little bit straightforward because you're just testing it, but.
Yeah. Brianna, I see a question in the chat about the concept behind the concrete canoe. Would you want to speak about that?
Concrete Canoe is a really cool team-based project that is around the country for a lot of the engineering schools. And basically every year we design and build a concrete canoe out of hand, by hand. But the trick is like concrete is not an actual like buoyant material. So you really have to think a lot about the design and how you want to go about the process. And the goal is to be as innovative as possible. And it also has to be usable. So part of the competition is actually racing the canoes against each other, which is like a super cool process. And that happens every year. Last year's competition, we were able to mix our concrete using a robot. So it was very innovative in that form. But yeah, super cool. Are there any challenges you have faced as women in STEM? Grace, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, so I can talk about a bit about this. So again, I went to Holy Child, which is an all-girls school, and there we had an awesome engineering program. And I think through that, I was really, empowered to be a woman in the engineering field. And so because of that, I've brought that to college with me. I would say, it can be intimidating sometimes if your classes are filled with men, but what I can say is I've kind of, through my high school experiences, I've kind of built that confidence in what I can do and make sure that I bring that to class every day and to all my group discussions and things like that. Just, not forgetting that you are valuable and you do know a lot and you can contribute a lot, regardless of whether you're a woman or a man.
Yeah, that's so true. I also went to all girls high school, so I really had that empowerment before I came into university, which really helped. I'm really grateful for that. But also I see a lot of schools nowadays are really trying to make it 50-50. And I really appreciate that, at least about NYU. The incoming class last year was almost 50-50. And just as the years go by, we're just going to keep seeing that change towards like a positive women and men equally in STEM. And so it's not that difficult. There are, there's some moments where you're like a little bit maybe caught off guard by something, or you're in a classroom full of men, but it's nothing crazy. And I think a lot of the men here also support women in STEM, so that's great.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely it's a very supportive environment.
Yes.
It's not as cutthroat as you may perceive it to be.
Exactly.
So then I see another question about the average GPA needed to get into engineering school. I wouldn't say there's like a particular cutoff. There are a lot more things that go into, your applications than just, your GPA. So it's a lot of, extracurriculars and pursuing what you're interested in. So I wouldn't stress too much about, I need to get this grade. And same thing in college. I see, a lot of business students stressing over having a 4.0. But engineering students, I mean, the classes that we take are super difficult. And so there's not, as much stress as like, I need to get this all, perfect and correct, but just like understanding the concepts around it is kind of what you need to go for.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Like your application overall is what matters, not just your GPA. So like what the steps you take to build it up and represent yourself the best way you can. That's what matters for engineering schools and any college in general. Did you travel to London, and what did you do there? I did travel to London, fortunately, spring of 2020. So if anyone recalls that semester, that was the pandemic, the start of the pandemic. So unfortunately, I only stayed there for 6 weeks, but it was an amazing 6 weeks. I was able to continue studying linear algebra, physics, and a few of the engineering core classes that I need for my degree. But at the same time, I took some learning about London classes, so like art and war in London and stuff like that. Super cool. And I love my time there. I was also able to travel in a few other countries since it's so accessible from there. So I definitely recommend study abroad if you can do it.
I see a question. Oh, sorry,
How strong,
Brianna.
it's okay. How strong do your math skills have to be an engineer? It's a good question. Grace, you want to
Yeah,
answer that?
yeah. So I can talk a bit about my background in math. So my senior year of high school, I took BC Calculus, and then I took that AP exam, which I would say was very helpful in terms of class placement here at Dartmouth. So depending on the scores that you get on those exams, you can place out of some level of math to just kind of get ahead on the courses, because if you do plan on doing engineering, there are a lot of courses that you have to take. And so it's nice if you can kind of get some under your belt before even getting there. So I came in with experience in BC calculus and like algebra 2 trig and things like that. And then I took a multivariable calculus class here at Dartmouth. And that was kind of the extent of the math that we had to take. I personally love math, and it shows up in every engineering class, but the way it shows up is very different. So if you understand more like graphically plotting things or things like that, then you can kind of steer your engineering path more towards the things in math that you understand versus the things that you don't, because there are definitely things in math that I don't understand, and I try to stay away from those things.
Yeah, I totally agree. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get super ahead in high school, but like, for example, that doesn't really matter. That I'm like an example that you don't need to have like a super advanced math skill set in high school to like do engineering in college. I even started in pre-calculus, and I'm fine. I did my calculus 1, calculus 2, linear algebra. Not the biggest fan of calculus, linear algebra, I liked it a little bit. But yeah, applications of math depends on what engineering you do. So like the calculus that I saw applies to my physics that I see now. So it really ranges, and you don't have to be like the best. As long as you understand the concepts, you should be okay. These are great questions.
Yeah, thank you guys. Okay, so we see, what inspired you to become an engineer? So for me, growing up, I always loved math and science, but didn't really know where that would fit in, because I didn't want to be a doctor or anything like that. And then when I got to high school, I was very fortunate to have this engineering program that kind of opened my eyes to kind of what you guys are doing now, but just the different types of engineering. And I really loved that. And that always kind of resonated with me. So I kind of knew that engineering was what I wanted to do. Things about engineering that I love is that it's super collaborative. I love, working on a team. It's not like an individual process at all, which I love. And I also just love like the impact that you can make through engineering. I really want to make an impact one day on people's lives, in a positive way. And I think through engineering, you can totally do that. And so, it's a very difficult field, but also very rewarding. And so that's what I love about it.
Yeah, you said exactly what I was thinking. It's difficult but rewarding, and that's what I loved about it. And yes, of course, like you want to tailor your career, what you do for the rest of your life, things that you can see yourself doing. So math and science, I loved it in high school, and I wanted to pursue that. And I love the intro course. Every school, engineering school, gives you that intro to engineering where you like travel through all the engineering majors they offer, and you like see what really fits you. And that's how I found like civil engineering. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I like the aspect of like civil engineering. I'll build a project and I'll see the progress of the project before my eyes, and the end result, and people will actually like make use of it. I'm a very visual person, so engineering is perfect for me. And teams, I love working in teams. I was in like 5 million teams in high school, so I wanted to continue that. Did you know what you wanted to be an engineer before you went to college? Do you have any advice for people still trying to figure out what part of STEM they want to focus on? So that's a great question, because the majority of my high school career, I thought I wanted to go to business school. But then towards my senior year, I was realizing that it wasn't really for me. I wanted more science-based stuff. So I didn't really know what kind of engineer I wanted to be, and most people that I met here didn't know either. Or if they knew, they probably switched out of it by their first year, just because that's how it is when you're going into engineering school. And it's completely normal to not know. Trying to figure out what part of STEM you want to focus on. My best advice is knowing what you don't like, so you can completely just move it out of the way, and things related to what you don't like, and you move it out of the way as well. And that'll like narrow down your options and your choices. I think that really helped me. How about you, Grace?
Yeah, those are really good tips. So I would say, me personally, I did know I wanted to do engineering going into college. But what I would say for that is, if you're unsure, definitely look at the schools that you might want to go to and what kind of programs they have. So, for example, Dartmouth is a liberal arts education. So here we have to take a bunch of different things. And for me, like for engineering, I didn't go straight into like mechanical. It starts very broad. So if you're not really sure, maybe, look into colleges that kind of have that structure where you can try out different subjects and different things like that, to allow you to explore those interests further. Because I do know some schools like require you to declare that you're a chemical engineer like when you're a senior in high school, and I know that can be really hard, and I didn't know what specific type I wanted to be either. So definitely consider that. And I'd also say once you get to college, if you're still unsure, like throw yourself into clubs or extracurriculars where you can try out certain things, because just by doing it in practice you'll see like, oh, I love this, or oh, I don't. It's hard to just like think and then like determine what you want to do. You actually have to try things out. But it's totally okay to not know, because I didn't know day one either.
Yeah, I went into college undecided. So definitely like if you're undecided still, I would go into the engineering or STEM schools that can give you that option of being undecided and figuring out once you're there, because they have really great programs for people that don't know. They really help you, guide you the right way. Thank you for the questions. Amazing questions. And if anyone wants to jump in about Bridges Lab, we can always move back to that topic as well. Grace, so you had your first year sooner than I did. Do you have any like tips for first year students?
Yes. So my first year was super wacky because it was a COVID year. um, so it was definitely a different freshman year than most people would experience. But what I would say is try to find a good balance between like school, and just other things that you like to do. So whether that's, socializing with friends, or spending time to exercise, or I don't know, watching a movie, or just taking care of yourself. College can be super overwhelming, and you don't want school to consume your entire life, because
Did she just freeze for everybody?
Yeah, she
Yes.
Yep.
froze.
Okay. Okay.
Oh no, did I
Yeah,
cut out?
you did cut
You're
out.
good now.
Sorry, guys. The
Repeat like
connection is
what you
not
said.
okay. I'm in Hanover, so there's really bad connection here. We're like in the woods. But yeah, just trying to find a good balance between, school and everything else that there is on campus. Their colleges have so much to offer, and it's really cool to take advantage of all of that. So just exploring what they have, and really dipping your toes into all of it, I would say, is a good way to start, just to expose yourself to everything that colleges have.
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember my first year being like feeling so messy and not knowing who to talk to, what to do in between classes, after classes. We have a bunch of questions rolling in. Wow. What is the most flexible engineering career, the one that has the most choices in terms of jobs? Oh, that's a great question. I have two in mind that like one that immediately popped up was mechanical engineering. That can apply to many, many fields. And you can work in almost any engineering company being a mechanical engineer. As a civil engineering student, I interned at the construction company that I was talking about. And the other intern there, he was mechanical engineering, and he understood everything that was going on. And he could apply everything that he learned to that. But he also was talking about an aerospace internship that he was going to do the next year. So it's really flexible, and the knowledge is very like widespread for most like I don't know, applications of engineering from my experience, and maybe computer science, but computer science is more for like people who know that they like to code. So it's a little bit less flexible in that term. What do you think, Grace?
Yeah, so I think in terms of this is kind of why I went the more mechanical route, is because coming in, I didn't really know what type of engineering I wanted to do. And mechanical is sort of the most broad, and you can go a lot of different ways with it. And what's funny is that I am also really interested in construction, and like one day want to work on sites and things like that. And I can totally do that with a mechanical engineering degree. So I would say mechanical is definitely very flexible. And in terms of job titles, like being a project engineer or things like that, just like overseeing projects is a very common thing, like in engineering as a whole. So that would be a very flexible thing. So then I see a question about what does a medicine engineer do specifically? So I think that can tie into, biomedical engineering, which is really cool. I don't know a lot about it, but what I do know is that it probably involves a lot of material science. So playing with, certain like designs and things like that that can, be like intertwined with the human body and things like that. I know that definitely does involve a lot of materials engineering, which I haven't taken, but a lot of schools do offer. You can be like a materials engineer or a biomedical engineer. But Brianna, do you have something to say about this?
Yeah, so from what I know from my friends that are BME, which is like biomedical engineers here, they like apply what they learned in their intro to engineering classes and basic physics classes, and also combining what they learned in biology and chemistry and all of those crazy classes that I could never do. And it's definitely for people that are interested in bio and chemistry more less than physics and stuff like that. And they usually, from what I learned is they like to create and engineer design stuff that would be useful in the biomedical world. Like I have friends that are interested in designing like prosthetics or like, that's pretty much the extent that I know, but it's stuff like that, more hands-on helping in the medical field. But they can also, from what I've learned, is be pre-med and go into the like doctor route and going to medical school and stuff like that. So it's also a very broad career that you can go into next to like mechanical engineering, computer science, but it is very rigorous and it is a bit longer for some schools.
Yeah, I do know that biomedical is a lot longer here because you do have to take, all the bio stuff as well as all the engineering stuff. But again, like if you don't know, like, do I want to be an engineer or a doctor? It's like the perfect thing to combine it as. So yeah, definitely something to consider. But if you do like that, definitely start early because there's a lot more courses for biomedical engineer.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think engineering students work harder than other college majors? This is a funny question to me just because I go to NYU, which is like a school with many, many schools within one school. And I just get to talk to a bunch of different types of majors all the time. And sometimes, yes, it does feel like, yeah, we are doing a lot of the hard work or most of the hard work. But, there's also pre-med students, there's nursing students. There's students that are really, I think STEM majors in the most part are the ones doing the more like hands-on heavy duty work. But that's not to say that liberal arts students are not taking their time doing their work as well. It's just maybe a little bit more rigorous and we have more problem sets to complete. Maybe some more projects too, but I don't know. It's a controversial question here in school. I don't know. What about you, Grace?
Yeah, I would just say, the work that engineers do is just very different than what like an English major would do. So I wouldn't say, we necessarily work harder, but just the work that we're doing is like extremely different. And also like the time that our work takes is also different. So for example, like I work a lot in our like machine shop and there's a lot of issues. I don't know, like if a pipe like breaks or something, there's just a lot of like technical difficulties and things like that along the way that just slow up like the whole process of doing things. So like my problem sets take very long and things like that. But yeah, just overall the work is very different between different majors, but it's not, one is not like better than the other.
Yeah, it's as they say, it's like comparing apples to oranges. It's really hard to compare them both. They're not really the same. But it is hard work regardless. So yes. Great questions. How are you liking Dartmouth, by the way?
Dartmouth is awesome. So I chose Dartmouth because I again went to Holy Child, which is a very small school. So I really loved learning in that very small environment where I got to know my teachers really well and my peers really well. And I just liked to be, seen and heard in the classroom. And I definitely feel that at Dartmouth. I would say my engineering class sizes are like 15 to 20 people, which is great because I'm not afraid to ask questions. It's not like a 500-person lecture hall. Like I'm very vocal in class because of that. I got coffee with my professor the other day, which was just really nice. So if you like that small learning environment, it's definitely important to consider when you're looking at colleges. And also Dartmouth, again, it's in New Hampshire, border of New Hampshire and Vermont. So it's very outdoorsy here. There's a lot of things that I can do, like skiing and hiking, just things outside that I love. So that's kind of overall why I chose Dartmouth. Why'd you choose NYU, Brianna?
I'm sorry, I'm having some difficulties with my microphone. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yes.
We can
Okay.
hear you.
What did you, I think you asked me something, but I didn't hear it.
I said, why did you choose NYU?
That's a great question. That many reasons. One, I'm born and raised in New York City, and I went to high school in the city. And at first, I thought I would hate going to high school in the city. I would want like a traditional high school experience, but it transformed me into like, I don't know, being a city girl really like makes you work harder and faster and pushes you into the real world really fast. And I really like that, and I appreciated that. So I wanted to stay close to home in NYC. So that was one of my main reasons why I picked NYU. And that might be the reason why many students pick schools in their state as well. They want to be close to home. The state tuition is much like better than like going out of state, which is also something to think about. And yes, the study abroad program, they really got me with that. I love traveling. I traveled in high school. I was in the traveling club, and I wanted to continue that, but without having to stop my studies or hinder it, or even maybe do it with my scholarship. And NYU lets me use my scholarship abroad in their NYU abroad sites, which I loved. And yes, that's why I picked NYU. I also like big recommendation. These colleges have huge names, and yes, they're like worth it going to them, but I would not advise to like go into the biggest amount of debt for them either. So like value what scholarships you're getting, the financial aid packages that you're getting, and see what's worth it as well. So I wouldn't be here if I didn't have my scholarship, and I'm thankful for that.
Great point, Brianna. I am a mother of a senior who's applying to college right now, so I definitely can relate to that. So very good points. I want to say thank you to Brianna and to Grace for leading such a great session. I want to say you guys had phenomenal questions. Thank you for all the questions in chat. And I know you guys are excited to get back into the breakout room. So I'm going to open the breakout rooms again, and we have our college mentors. I'm also going to share my screen with the breakout rooms assignments, so you guys can see what rooms you will be going into. One more note before you go into your breakout rooms, please don't forget to share your pictures of your progress with us. We want to see them. You can, Monica Salvia put it in chat. You can tag us at engineering.tomorrow for Instagram. You can also email us your pictures as well. All right, I see people are heading into their rooms. Our ET mentors are there, and if anybody needs any assistance getting back into their room, just let me know. Again, thank you to Brianna and to Grace. And I think Holy Child is still on. Are they still on? Christine, do you want to pop in?
I see them all waving. They were all waving to me. But I think Christine's still there. I think she's, yeah.
Because I know they're not going into the breakout rooms. They just came to hear you. So
I love it.
Great job. All right, I think, again, if you have any issues getting into your breakout rooms, let us know. Grace and Brianna, you're free to go, or you can hop around in the breakout rooms if you'd like. I can make you guys, I can assign you guys, so let me know if you want to hang out or not.
Actually, I have some time. I'd love to sit in a
Okay,
breakout room.
I'm gonna make you a co-host, and that means you can jump from room to room. So you
I
don't
have a
have
meeting
to.
to run to, but this
Yep.
was amazing. And thank you so much for this. This is great.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Brianna. Brianna, you can hop around from room to room if you like.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Monica, quick
Ash,
question. Am I
yeah,
in 3 or 4 now?
you are in 3.
Got it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Monica, do we want to put the bridges thing, the breakout rooms back up?
I thought it's up. Am I not wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. I clicked on it and I thought I did it. I thought I was sharing it already. There it is.
There we go. Thank you.